from a galaxy far, far away.
And a bookshelf straight out of the 90s.
From Thrawn to Dantooine.
And everything in between. This is Legends Look Back.
You never know when you're typing up those show notes, getting ready for another episode of Legends Look Back, what exactly the internet is going to throw your way. You know, sometimes the glowing rocks, the computers, you know, that's all they are really, is glowing rocks. They're just, you know, minerals that we have mined out of the earth. We program them with some technology, and they glow. And anyway, the glowing rocks, they sometimes I think they know better than you. You know what I mean? And, well, in Star Wars, it's just almost entirely made up words. So I'm typing away these show notes. I'm very serious about this. We've got a deadline to meet and a show to have after all. And I'm just, you know, clicking it all in there and slapping it together. And then all of a sudden it says, hey, hold up. We're going to have to change that word to something a little bit more English. Now, I'm going to back this story up and say this. Legends Look Back, after all, is a show that has brought you some pretty iconic character nicknames, right? What's your favorite character nickname, everybody? Out of all the running inside jokes, Emily, I'll be honest, I'm partial to Darth Hannah. That's a good one.
That's a good one. It's a classic.
Darth Hannah. We got Naked Palps, of course. That's a classic, legendary, even, if you will. We've tried to bury Darth Naked Palps, and he's come back from the dead. Rick, what was your favorite character nickname?
I mean, as of last week, the Queen Amanda, right?
Queen Amanda is a good one. Queen Amanda. Queen Emma from Tales of the Jedi, for those who are keeping score. How about you, Freddie?
I feel like I posted one recently. Not sure.
Oh, Fonzie Palpatine?
Fonzatine?
Fonzie.
Yeah.
The bronze Fonz.
Hey!
What's his name again? Sheev?
Shave.
Shave.
Yep.
I think I'm into him right now.
Oh, we got a good one here from Skooma Joe in the chat. I don't know if we can put this up on the screen or not. That one's borderline. The urethras from the Han Solo trilogy. We were talking about the...
What?
Yep, I remember that. Talanda Till.
The Talanda
Till.
How do we land on that
name? Jared, not we. Jared landed on urethras.
Well, I've got a new one.
Times.
All right, thanks to autocorrect, as of today, April 20th, 2023, and no, I was not on anything, okay, just because it is 420. Here's what the computer says, the glowing rocks. We've got Sith Lord from Tales of the Jedi, Golden Age of the Sith, that we're going to be talking about right here on this very show, live here on Legends Look Back. That is... Are you ready for this? Drum roll, please, everybody.
Oh, I'm so ready.
Anybody got kick drum pedals? Here it is. Ludo Kresh.
Yes.
Nice.
You know,
That's fresh,
I
Ludo.
love that.
Ludo Kresh.
You know, Em and I were just talking about autocorrect before the show. I think, I don't know if you're on it yet, but typing up my own notes, every single character and these stories, autocorrect wouldn't have it.
Nope.
So
not even a little bit.
All right, I got another good one. This one's not a character nickname; it's a planet. They go to the Sith throne world. That's actually developed quite a bit later on in Legends.
Not the bathroom.
No. It's Ziost. Ziost. Autocorrect tried to rename the planet Zitz.
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 You sit on a throne of acne.
It's one where if the blockade is effective enough, it just pops. They squeeze it.
All right, that's our quota of bodily fluids. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Rick,
what a cold open!
Like a zit, this cold open has run its course, and it is time.
It's about to pop.
That's right. It's about to pop off. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's start the show.
Pop.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Legends Look Back, proudly part of the YOUTINI Podcast Network. This is a Star Wars books podcast for people who love to listen to Hoobastank almost as much as they like to say it, where we celebrate our rich EU history as well as dive into lesser-known Star Wars classics. I'm your host, Jared Mays, Ludo fresh off of finishing the last few issues of Tales of the Jedi, Fall of the Sith Empire, to get ready for the show. I mean, it was like it was one of those where it's like playing soccer with the kids while holding the comic book. I was like, I got a show tonight, y'all. But I got it done, ready for the show. You know who else ready for the show? Finally well rested after his trip to London, right? How about you still eating beans on toast for breakfast? Did they change you over there in London? Freddie C, how are you, Freddie?
I'm doing all right. I wish I was at a pub right now, but yeah, check. You know, I just realized I'm wearing a shirt right now that I got from Celebration.
Oh, cool.
And let me see if I can zoom in here. Boom.
I like that color. No? It's like that's your face. All right, there it is. Some clone troopers? Do I see clone troopers? Ewoks.
I see an Ewok.
And stormtroopers.
It's a violent
shirt. Hold on. It's gonna be it's a violent shirt. But there's a thing here. I just want to show this.
Did you say violent or violent?
Off here. Oh. I haven't taken the tag off.
He's still wearing the tag.
Yeah, check it out. But
Ludo
I can't take it off. Look at this.
Ludo Fresh.
Oh, that is a cool tag.
That drip though.
Exclusive. It's an exclusive. He's got a exclusive shirt. That's
I'm never gonna wash it.
I like the color. Is it brown or maroon?
It's like a maroon, I would say.
Yeah, I like that.
Or mauve.
Not
sure. Is that a
mauve? I would like the hexadecimal value of that shirt, please.
Hey, I could probably find it.
Speaking of violent, we got a little bit of violent backstory on Emily's anniversary pre-show. That is the devourer of kangaroos. We are joined by Emily Daybeck.
Yes, indeed. So it was my anniversary on Tuesday, and so my husband surprised me with a very fancy dinner on Wednesday. And one of the courses, we didn't realize it until after the fact. We thought it was a beef tenderloin. Turns out it was kangaroo, and we hadn't a freaking clue the whole time. And so we've got a bit of a bet going to see if Freddie has had kangaroo before.
We do. We've got a pre-show. We've got a show host bet.
We have a lot of money riding on this, Freddie.
Has Freddie?
So what's the answer, Freddie?
Has Freddie ever eaten kangaroo?
It's a bit gamey.
You had it?
I haven't. No, I haven't. I haven't had kangaroo meat. Believe it
Rick,
or not.
yes!
I have not had kangaroo meat. I've had shark before.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I've had shark. I've caught
ostrich.
a shark. I caught a shark.
Oh.
Yeah, we used to have a burger place in my hometown, Oklahoma, that made emu burgers. Let's see. I had alligator. Obviously, living down near Louisiana, we get gator quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think you need to throw it to the next guest because I need to know what this wager was about and what was talked about.
Yeah, the man who is now rolling in credits, just like Watto himself, our producer, Rick Race.
Yep, I got all the Republic Dactari that you could ever want now, so that's me. I'm here.
Yeah, he didn't believe in you, Freddie.
I just wanted to be contrarian to those two, so
I haven't had kangaroo yet.
Neither have I.
Now.
I didn't know that was a thing. I feel bad for all the kangaroo out there.
I think I've
Emily,
had
you
it.
monster! Why would you eat a kangaroo?
I didn't know. Like literally, so all right. So we're sitting in the kitchen at the chef's table, super bougie, and we're like watching this like super fine dining restaurant plate everything.
Where were you sitting?
At the chef's table.
Okay.
It was. Yeah. It's like I told Mike specific, like I really don't want to know how much this costs. I just I want to go in blind and just totally enjoy the experience because we don't
probably
do this often.
Jersey.
Anyway, they're the kind of take notes. Like we've been going to this place every couple years for 9 years now. So they have notes on all of our preferences. It's next level. So anyway, so watching them do all this crazy stuff. We walk in and Mike's I instantly saw the sous vide in the corner. And so we're looking over there, it's just one tiny portion. I'm I think that might be for us. Sure enough, later on, the guy plates it up and brings it to us. And the thing that cracked me up is that these guys are they sound like country bumpkins. They do not, they're producing this art that's amazing and delicious. And then when they talk, they're they could be, you could run into them anywhere and they would
it's
seem
just
like they
you
were
live in
at
Georgia.
home.
That's
it just
the reason.
cracks me up. So we didn't understand him. We didn't understand what he said. We're he's something espresso roasted. We got that, espresso rubbed. And then we didn't hear the next part. And then we heard all the rest of the ingredients. And then we get the print off of the menu at the end and it has kangaroo on there. I'm what? What do you mean we had kangaroo? Wow. It was crazy.
Yeah. Emily, you're leaving out the best part of the story. which
I am.
is, at the beginning, before the show, you were telling the story and you said, we thought it was beef tenderloin. Guess what animal it was? And without missing a beat.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I was trying to stretch the story. And Jared immediately is like, kangaroo. I was like,
I was busy trying to finish the summary of Fall of the Sith Empire. I was distracted. I wasn't even really listening. She said, guess an animal, and I said kangaroo.
I was so mad. I was
I'm
trying to play it
playing
off
20
like that wasn't it. I
questions.
was like, Rick, any guesses?
And I'm like, does it have hooves? And she's like, no. And I'm like, crap, what animals have hooves and don't? I don't know. And so
With
I just...
bison.
I'll be taking. I've also had bison. Bison burgers
Bison's
are good.
good.
I'd like to. I'll accept my Chewy-esque medal in the mail. All right.
I officially am the most uncultured of this group.
Well, hey, maybe you could work
So-
at a fine dining restaurant. Apparently, they just take them all. It was awesome.
Apparently,
you do have the school bus driver thing on us.
It's
that
true.
None of us have done. No, I'm saying
Wow.
that's an exotic experience that none of us have had.
It
is.
exotic. It is exotic. Yes.
Well,
I did call one of my routes the safari because I saw a wild hog that looked like a gorilla, and it scared me to death because it was
Oh.
the size of a car.
That's where my
You know what?
hog gorilla went. I've been wondering where
Okay,
I put that.
Rick, I have that experience once. I was driving towards northern Arizona, and looking at me, almost as if it was the same height as I was sitting in the car, was this humongous mountain lion.
Oh my goodness!
And I was like, oh yeah, never mind. We're going to stay here and probably go back.
Well, we're not going to be talking about any mountain lions on tonight's episode. We do, however, have a bit of a slideshow to show off. We have been running a fun event here for the month of April here at YOUTINI, and it is called the #YOUTINI Cosplay Showcase. We've got a handful of images of folks who have submitted their own cosplays, and I've been working on mine too. Hopefully I can show it off next week. Got some Jedi robes in the mail. I'm just missing boots. Boots. Need to do a little bit of sewing tomorrow. Here we go. First one off the list.
Gone to Goodwill.
I found a lot of ladies' boots. A lot of them.
That's okay.
Hey.
You just gotta find a big enough size. Just wear the lady boots. It'll work.
And there were none. Nope. All right. But you know who doesn't wear lady boots? Kurt! Look at Kurt's immaculate rebel pilot costume.
Y'all, this looks
That looks
straight up
good.
a school picture, like a life
Yeah.
touch.
Yeah.
I've seen this backdrop before, and I am so here for it.
Yeah.
I love that Kurt is showing up
Yeah.
in an elementary school in his rebel pilot
Yes.
outfit.
Like,
And he's
excuse me,
like,
can I just
I need to
get
borrow
an-
your backdrop.
I mean,
a la
that's
carte.
instantly hero status if you do that
Yeah.
for real. So
This is
I
like
would-
post
Hero-
Endor hero photo.
Hero, or you're going straight to jail. One of the two. One of the two.
straight
So
to jail.
You know
but-
what? Just some
You know,
background
the
on this
orange
one.
jumper, he could have come straight from jail. You just
That's
put
true, but he didn't because we met him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
just some
That's a good
background.
outfit.
Kurt.
I'm actually
Kurt-
just jealous that he actually has a full jumpsuit, and I had the little teen
Rick,
girl vest.
Wait till
that I
you
had to
hear
wear,
the story. This is a story from Kurt himself.
so- okay.
We met Kurt at Celebration, as Jared had mentioned. We know Kurt. We've met him, and he told me that he made this outfit, and it was the biggest outfit he could make. But he had to lose weight in order to fit into it, and it got him on his weight loss journey.
There
so-
you go. Talk about
Whoa.
goals.
Well
Yeah.
done,
Yeah,
Kurt.
so
Cool.
he managed
Yeah,
to
right.
spend the money to do it. And he's like, I need to fit in this thing, and he did it at Celebration.
Wow.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, he was a nice
Well
guy,
done.
That is
really
awesome.
friendly, kind. I really enjoyed meeting him. We'll have to send him this clip that we sent him a shout out. Also, we've got a cosplay from our very own
Yeah,
Freddie. See,
another pilot.
I spent hours on this one, hours,
Freddie.
just trying to get my
Look
head
at
angled the right way.
That's fresh.
To the left, tilt a little to
Yep.
the right now. There you
Right.
go.
Dude, you got the wedge hair too. Like
does.
You know, it's the slightly disheveled, but just right.
If only
There you
you
go.
had a mustache, we could call you Biggs.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a mustache. This is a photo that's been sitting on my bookshelf, and I have a fake mustache that I had on this, and I took it off. Don't know why. I should have left it.
Oh,
bad.
that's right. You told me about that. That's funny.
Too bad. Now I'm like, I might turn my Wilro Hood costume, upgrade it, and then the mustache, make it a Biggs thing. I could see it. You know who else has a great another YOUTINI team member with a great cosplay? Jacob.
Oh, nice.
You're in the
Lot of
Han
effort.
Solo. Yeah.
He definitely
Love
would
it.
shoot first.
I don't know, Emily. Your white girl Han Solo was pretty good in the fall,
I know I should probably resubmit that picture. I need to remember
But-
to do that.
but Jacob's also
Battle
got
of
the
the
mustache. So
Hans.
best of both worlds. Best of both worlds. We got a couple
Yeah.
more. I'm gonna admit with this next one, it scarred me. Earlier today, I forgot I had the photos downloaded on my iPad. I was looking for them, trying to get everything mopped up before the show. Open up the iPad, and for some reason, it decided it needed to show this picture and this picture only. Full screen.
Brace yourself.
Full screen.
Oh,
Darth Jar Jar.
oh no.
Ah!
That's
yeah, that's
awful.
that's
I mean, it's like
is
good,
a
but like that's
lot.
terrifying. It's like a full picture.
Yeah.
Where-
It. Here's what I have to say about that. Me, so don't like this picture.
You subby, punished.
Me so wanna crawl in a hole and die. This is
man.
from Discord user Upsedris. So thank you for
I
that.
love it.
And also
So
well
good.
done. It is great in its own very unique way. One more, a last minute submission from someone, I didn't write it down, of Vader and Yoda. I think it was a father-son cosplay.
I like that.
Is this this looks like Yoda in his teenage years before he started, the gravity started taking him down a little bit.
yeah, the mid 400s probably.
There you go.
Yeah, I for some reason didn't catch the name of this one at the last minute, so apologies, but it's in the YOUTINI cosplay channel
I love
over
it.
on Discord. This is not, however, the only fun YOUTINI event we've got happening right now. In fact, we have unveiling today the most exciting collaborative initiative ever in the history of YOUTINI, upstaging my Shadows of the Empire, the crossover event that we had, which I was quite proud of. But in some ways, I think this one's a little bit better. Rick, you've been intimately involved in the creation of this project. Tell the good folks about YOUTINI Academy.
Yeah. So, YOUTINI Academy launching on May 4th. There is an excellent place for you to learn a lot. I don't know about everything, but a lot about the Star Wars expanded universe, canon, legends, all of the above. And you can find out more at youtini.com/academy. But this is going to be launching May 4th. And we are offering exclusive early access and a 25% discount to our live stream viewers and email subscribers if you use the code Padawan at checkout. So yeah, this is coming just within the month. So I know that those of us who've been involved have enjoyed making the video content, and a lot of work's gone into it. It's really, really quality. And
the bloopers.
I'm excited to learn. Oh,
10
the
out of 10.
bloopers. Oh yeah, would recommend for sure.
Yeah, well, the three of us collaborated, and by that I mean not Emily. So Rick and Freddie and myself collaborated on the Legends chapter. Emily, I don't know why you weren't involved. Maybe you just had enough going on and didn't take place. Maybe we didn't invite you. I'm not sure which one it was.
It was like a volunteer thing, and I think we just volunteered and Emily didn't.
I just
But
did
now I do
nothing.
feel bad.
Emily's too cool.
That's all I did.
Yeah.
school.
So-
I'm sorry, Emily, for leaving you out. I feel
We
bad now.
collaborated for weeks, if not months, between the three of us on this.
Yeah.
And
No.
we what?
Years.
No, we just 100% did what you told us. Jared, you wrote the script,
Yeah.
and I just was a talking head, so you did all the work, buddy.
So a couple of the scripts that that we ended up going with were actually adapted from material that Freddie wrote for Celebration.
Oh,
So
okay.
a couple of those originated with Freddie, and I spiced them up with the jokes.
Still, I'm
And Chat GPT probably.
just a puppet this whole time.
I'm actually pretty adamantly team
Didn't
kill the
exist back
robots.
then.
So
Didn't exist back then, so.
yeah,
well, they're listening, so be nice. Okay.
Hi, Jedi.
yeah.
right.
No,
Talk about
I
something
have.
else.
I'm dying on the hill of I don't want to work with the robots.
Yeah.
So welcome to my hill, and also to YOUTINI Academy, and I'm very excited about this. I logged in today, and we've got the special promo going on right now. We've got a good number of folks already on board with this, and I think that we've got something really special. There's nothing else like this, other than you just waste the rest of your life on the Wook. There's nothing else like this as a place where you can learn about Star Wars books in a guided, personalized kind of way.
And I think broken up in a way that's easily digestible so you can refer to it whenever you need to. I think it's perfectly formatted for anybody who wants to learn something about Star Wars or learn it all, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm excited to see this roll out. We're going to be popping over there in the chat at the Academy over the next few days, especially with the rollout, answering all of your Legends questions. And by that I mean, let's be honest, I'll probably DM Skooma Joe with a lot of my questions.
Yeah, that's fair.
He is. After all, I don't think I've said this on the show yet. I have unofficially christened even, knighted? Where's my lightsaber? Skooma Joe as our unofficial Legends Look Back research assistant. Because
I would say so.
he has proved invaluable in helping us to get some behind-the-scenes factoids on a lot of these recent roundtables, in particular Tales of the Jedi. So we appreciate you, and your check is in the mail. We don't get paid anything, so welcome to the club.
It'll be a check mark.
A post-it, if you will.
And you know what,
Yes.
Jared? A good segue, I would say, is Skooma Joe is our Odaner.
Loves to study, loves to study, loves to do the research. Odener, I gotta
tomes.
say, I have fallen head over heels in love. Like, Rick, do you have an animation where you can make my eyes pop out of my head like the Animaniacs? Ooga! That thing?
No, but
right.
do that again.
Yeah. Ooga! That thing? Yeah. I have fallen in love with Odener. He is the good boy Jedi with the big old teeth who likes to read his books in quiet. But he'll mess you up with a lightsaber if he has to, but he doesn't want to. And he finds the holocron at the end, and he starts his own Jedi library. I mean, oh, yeah, look at him. Look at that beautiful mole face and that old school medieval armor. That jagged
that
lightsaber.
Ugh.
Yeah.
There it is.
Somebody play me like some sappy music while I cry to pictures of Odener.
Can I tell you? Are we talking about Odaner?
No,
later?
we'll come back to him. We'll come back to him.
Okay. I'll save it.
Let's tell the good folks what we've got here going. Let's
okay.
Let's go. Oh, what? You've got some
chance.
music queued up? We'll come back to it.
I don't know. Yeah,
I'm gonna get
we'll
on
see,
my.
we'll see.
I'm going to get on my Odener soapbox when we get to it. So first and foremost, let's tell the good folks what exactly we're talking about tonight. This is, after all, our second part of a two-part roundtable from 2 weeks ago because we weren't prepared last week.
Whoa!
I was mid-flight.
I was prepared.
Hey, I finished the reading.
Your medal is in the mail, Emily.
Well, I'm not included in the official Academy group, but at least I read what I'm supposed to read.
I've got good news for you, Emily. For a limited time, access to the YOUTINI Academy is 25% off with early bird access with code
Padawan.
And I get to pay.
So for the low price,
you can learn from your fellow masters
of $47, you can be in the Academy with lifetime access.
Lifetime.
Isn't Emily part of like the High Council? Can't she just fire us all?
I am, actually. I am. But that's okay.
Well,
I've got a lot of stuff going on. It's all good.
As a wise man once said, I am the Senate. Moving on.
Hey, yeah.
Moving on.
Wise.
Moving on.
Wise men say.
We are tonight talking about the prequels and the sequels of Tales of the Jedi, which was already a prequel before the prequels were made. This was in the late 90s. Finally, in 1997 and 1998, we got Tales of the Jedi, Golden Age of the Sith, Tales of the Jedi, Fall of the Sith Empire, and then what might possibly be one of the greatest legend stories ever told, Tales of the Jedi Redemption. For my 2 cents, that is. All right, let's go around the horn here and share these intros. I'll lead us off. Tales of the Jedi, Golden Age of the Sith was written in 1997 by Kevin J. Anderson with art by Dario Carrasco Jr., Spoiler alert, by the way, for Tales of the Jedi. All around. We're going to even spoil a little bit of the stuff and the stuff from 2 weeks ago that, the Nomi Sunrider, Ulic, Keldrama stuff. There's some spoilers. All right, moving on. Hyperspace navigators crash land on Ziost, on Ziost, where the Sith are in the throes of a civil war. The Dark Lord of the Sith, Marka Ragnos, with his dope horns, has died. At his funeral, Naga Sadow, how do you say that?
Naga Sadow?
No.
Yeah. Naga Sadow.
No chance, bro.
Naga Sadow.
Naga
Yeah.
Sadow.
You asked, and now you're going
Naga
to turn us down
Sadow.
for making
No.
Naga Sadow.
No. How many of you have listened to the audio drama? I'm the only one who's listened to the audio drama.
Naga Sadow.
Naga Sadow pulled a Kool-Aid man, oh yeah, and showed up with an announcement at the funeral like a jerk. He would challenge Ludo Kresh, not Fresh, Ludo Kresh for the title of Dark Lord of the Sith. He planned to lead the Sith beyond their tidy little corner of the galaxy in order to pursue the expansion of the Sith Empire. Sadow concocts an insidious scheme. He equips a secret strike team with a blaster found upon the navigator's ship. To perform a hit upon Ludo Kresh's base, he intentionally implants evidence to lead the Sith leadership to agree to Sadow's conclusion that they should prepare for a counterattack against the Republic. Eventually, Sadow overplays his hand, pulls the same scheme over again one more time, and Ludo Kresh discovers the truth, that Naga Sadow has been manipulating them all along. Meanwhile, good boy Jedi Odin had a Force vision about the return of the Sith, convinced Empress Teta to make an impassioned plea to the Republic Senate to do something about the Sith before it's too late. Dun dun dun. Which leads us to Fall of the Sith Empire. Emily, I'll give you this one.
Yeah, so it was released in 1997. It's by Kevin J. Anderson and Dario Carrasco Jr. So Naga Sadow's fleet struck Sinagar in what will become the Empress Teta system. It is a long and grueling battle with treachery and death, including Odan Ur's brain tentacle master in a jar, Uru, sacrificing himself to poison Sadow's Masasi army with his tank gases. Gav Maligan getting duped by Naga Sadow and giving the Republic critical information in the moments before his fiery death, and Ludo Kresh faking his own death. Gasp. Then he died for real.
You're supposed
on,
to
like,
do
the
a
next
gasp.
page.
You're supposed to gasp. You know, the gasp is you're supposed to gasp.
If you want to micromanage how I read your description,
You just, come on, give me a gasp.
I mean,
Do
you
it
can also
yourself.
just say gas.
Carry on. You're doing great.
am I?
You
Feel
are. You
zero
are.
creative liberties
Aren't you
here.
supposed to put it in? There you go. Hold on. Now.
Yeah.
Oh, now I want to gasp for sure.
Okay, all right. There's asterisks now. Okay, I can read it now. All right, and Ludo Kresh faking his own death. Then
Good
he
job.
died for real on, like, the next page. Eventually, Naga Sadow retreats to, you guessed it, Yavin 4, where he will lie in wait to possess Exar Kun's hapless soul. Pour one out for Exar Kun.
Yeah.
That was some great creative liberty there at the
No,
end.
thanks.
Emily, I appreciate it. You know who else has creative liberty? Whichever of the two of you wants to take the next one.
You want
know
me to? Can I? Hold on. I don't.
ahead.
You can read, Freddie. I just want to say, can I share my creative liberty with my anagram discoveries?
I don't know.
We all want to see it. Not a joke.
I don't even know what
Do you
I'm
remember this
nervous.
what you're
conversation?
talking about.
I posted it in the Slack. I'm probably gonna get canceled for this, but anyway, as we're reading these books, I was trying to figure out where in the world do these names come from. Naga Sadow, it made no sense to me, and so I was like, there has to be some secret message embedded into this name, and so I started playing around with anagrams, rearranging the letters to see what
National
secret
treasured it.
message. I national treasured it,
Go on.
and I spent a long time trying to find the secret mystery to what Naga Sadow came up with.
That's why
and
you
I'd
asked for Nicolas Cage's number the other day. And, okay, I see where you're
that's
going.
right. And I think I have made a connection to Naked Palpatine.
Okay.
You
have my attention.
And yes, you can. And I'm sorry, this is PG-13. So if your family ears at home, this is a good time to take away. But you can rearrange the letters of Naga Sadow, and it spells saw a gonad.
It all makes sense.
And so that's the connection. I think I'm onto something, don't you?
All right, Freddie.
Um,
Let's read
All right.
the description for
that's
reaction.
it. That's it.
Hey, Rick, the next time you ask for creative liberty, you want to guess what the answer is?
You have not shown us that we can trust you.
Oh man, that was really good. All right, Redemption, 1998 by
You know who
Kevin
else needs
J.
some redemption?
Yeah, a couple people on this podcast right now.
Correct.
All right, Redemption, 1998 by Kevin J. Anderson and Chris Gossett. All right, here's a summary. 10 years have passed since the event of Exar Kun's rise to power and subsequent defeat. Ulic Qel-Droma has stripped himself. Who was he stripped by? Naomi?
Yeah,
stripped. Nomi. Sorry, not Naomi.
Naomi Sunrider. She's going on the roster on the Dream Team with Darth Hannah and Queen Amanda.
Queen Amanda, Naomi Sunrider. Oh man, stripped of his connection to the Force by his former lover, Nomi Sunrider.
Stripped. Saw go Ned.
Yeah.
Oh my
All right.
gosh.
Where's the
Even
mute button?
though he turned away from the dark side by his own free will after losing his brother by his own hand. Nomi Sunrider is the Chancellor of the Republic, but it's just a busy job, and she doesn't have time to properly train her daughter. Vima, skipped over something, I think.
You got it. You're close.
Trained her daughter, Vima, in the ways of the Force. Fed up with my mom, Vima sets off in search of a new Jedi Master. Who was that Jedi Master? Ulic Qel-Droma, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And he's looking... Ulic looks great. Ulic has retreated from the galactic spotlight. He's not chilling with porgs. He's not sipping on any green milk with an anteater cows. He's on a frozen tundra planet, Renvar, after his hired hand pilot, Hagen, first tries to drop him off at Yavin 4. Come on. Yavin 4, read the room, dude. You like that, Jared?
Nice.
That was good.
Ulic is also hunted by a rogue Cathar named, Jedi Cathar, actually, named Silvar. She's consumed by thirst for revenge because her husband died by Ulic's hand. Vima just so happens to find Hagen, who survived the Great Jedi Convocation, just to get a glimpse of this once-in-a-decade Jedi Olympics. She convinces him to take her to Ulic on Renvar. Ulic isn't so thrilled at the prospect of taking on a Padawan, but he also doesn't want to leave her to die in the blizzard. So, come on, kid. No Jedi stuff. Get out of here. I don't want to do it. But Vima eventually thaws Ulic's frozen heart. The two make an art project honoring Vima's whippy dad and Ulic's former master, Arca, rest in peace. And they practice lightsaber forms, and they lift some heavy rocks, and just do some other Jedi stuff, but mainly that big art project with the snow.
I love that, Freddie, you've not read this yet, and you're reading it live right here on the air.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you don't know what I've written in the summary.
I haven't written it. This is not me. Eventually, Hagen rats Ulic out to the Jedi in search of a payday. Nomi and her old pal, Crazy Cat Lady, hop into the ship, show up on Ulic's doorstep, and Ulic finds himself in hot water on his frozen planet. He is ready to sacrifice himself rather than taking up arms against the Silvar, but persuades her to abandon her quest for vengeance just as it looks like Ulic is about to live and redeem himself. Hagen shoots him in the back. Rest in peace.
A spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's a big
That's
spoiler.
a big spoiler alert.
But I'm going to need an
all
issue.
in all,
it is powerful.
it's, you know
Hagen
what?
sucks, man.
Yeah,
He's
he
Hagen,
does.
his eyes gave it away. Crazy eyes.
So crazy.
All in all,
It was the teeth for me.
it's a net positive, though, because Ulic becomes one of the Force, one with the Force. That's what he becomes. Reconnecting to the light side of the Force after all these years in his selfless death. Not selfish, selfless death. Vima and her mom are reunited and set off to continue her Jedi training as mother and daughter, and Ulic disappears in Nomi's arms
Yeah.
into
Man,
the Force.
It's amazing stuff. Wow. All right, let's go around the
was
room.
decent.
Let's go around the room and let's rate. We've got 3 stories here to rank. We've got Golden Age of the Sith, Fall of the Sith Empire, and Tales of the Jedi Redemption. Let's let's let Freddie take a breath here. We're going to start with you, Emily. Rank all 3 of these titles that we have for tonight's show.
Okay. And so that's great. Okay, yeah. All right. So I think that Golden Age of the Sith is probably like a good. Fall of the Sith Empire is great. And Redemption is next level up. Was it Masterpiece?
Incredible.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yes.
So
It's like
one
a 3,
step
4,
below
and a 5.
Masterpiece.
If
Yeah.
I had to put a number, which I know we're not supposed to do. So never mind.
No, we can make our own rules here. Corey's not watching.
That's true.
I'm giving it a star.
Yeah.
All right, Freddie's got stars. What you got, Freddie? What are your ratings?
You know, I'm not too far off of Emily's plan here, but I think I really do like Golden Age of the Sith, seeing, especially after reading Bane, you know, getting to see the Valley of the Sith Lords
Yeah. It's
Oh
pretty
yeah,
in its glory, right? And that's what we were seeing. That's what they talked about. And it's like, oh my gosh, here it is in its entirety with all of its jewels, obviously in 1990s comic art. But it was really fun to see, and seeing kind of the, you know, first of all, I like seeing Naga Sadow anytime. Such a historic character and a fun story. So I think I rank it a little bit higher, but honestly, I don't remember the rankings that YOUTINI has, so I'm just going to go with Emily said.
okay. Except for we're gonna bump up to Golden Age of the Sith a little higher.
Yes.
A little higher. I also do think that Golden Age of the Sith, for my money, is better than Fall of the Sith Empire. But
I
I'll
thought
do
it
mine
was
last.
more
ahead.
believable. I thought Fall was a little more believable. I don't know. It was some pretty
There was
wild story
nothing-
elements.
There was nothing Golden Age about the Sith.
Yeah, that's true.
They were lame. They were just sitting around bickering at a funeral,
Yeah.
and there was nothing powerful or intimidating or scary. I guess it was just that they were like a species, that whole thing. But like, I wasn't afraid of the Sith. I don't know, like, if that's the legacy of the Sith, that they lived happily ever after.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it was.
It should
I think for
be
me,
called the Sith Civil War is what it should be called.
Yeah. That would have made it better.
All right, Rick, what are
I
your
feel this-
ratings
yeah,
all around?
You're right there.
I'd say good for Golden Age. I would say, let's see, great for Fall of the Sith Empire, because I loved the ships. Those were really
There's a lot of
cool.
ships, man.
Yes.
There's a lot of ships in Fall, and
Kevin J. Anderson.
and some cool combat. You know, with the whole let's do the whole blow up a sun thing. Let's see, and then Redemption. Let me be honest, guys. I was not getting into it.
No.
Until the very end.
Yeah.
Until the very end,
Yeah.
it sealed the deal for me. But I was like, it was just a big change in pace, because I read it in chronological order. And so I had just read,
okay.
what was it, The Sith Wars? And like for the first time, because remember I was behind last time. And so I loved Sith Wars. That was incredible. I'm so glad I finally caught up and read those. And so it was a very abrupt change in pace from Sith Wars to literally 5 minutes in between reading Redemption.
There's such a huge leap in visual style. You can see how much
Yes.
comics
Yes.
as a medium
Yes.
progressed in between
yeah.
just those 2 years, 97 and 98. I mean,
Well, they got more digital,
it's
right?
A
I feel like that's
huge leap forward. And then Anderson and Gossett, they collaborated so intensely on that to make such a tight story, but it is very focused on only a few core characters, whereas all those other stories are massive, sprawling epics.
Yeah.
And so it is a huge leap both visually and tonally. You're absolutely right about that.
But it totally wrapped it up for me and had a very good character ending that made me kind of ponder, like, I really like that. Like, it made me think. And so this is a pun, if it doesn't take the gold, it takes the silver.
Oh, okay. That's pretty
Come
good,
on,
actually.
man.
Well done.
that's really good.
Yeah. Thank
I'll
you.
try to keep my thoughts.
That's a good redemption.
Hey!
Almost redeemed your fall.
Watch your back, Rick. You never know if
from
there's a
Rick
crazy cat lady about
earlier.
to shoot you in the back. All right, so we've got 3 stories here. I'm going to give Golden Age of the Sith an incredible. Though you have to be able, like, willing to immerse yourself in this old school 90s art and the writing style, which are both really stiff. My daughter came out. She's like, Dad, what are you reading? I was like, it's a Star Wars comic. She said, it doesn't look like Star Wars. And I said, exactly. It really doesn't. You're absolutely right about that. I think Fall of the Sith, for me, is only a great. It's not as good because it's so much just like one big battle. And I wanted a little bit more like intense character moments. And Odinur is great, but it's a lot of battle pages spread out for like, 6 or 7 pages, which is Rick's thing.
It's a lot of battle.
And it's not
a lot of battle.
Not really as much because I've read the story so many times. But I will say, Tales of the Jedi Redemption, I think, is in my top 10 favorite Legend stories, favorite Star Wars stories of all time. It is just so masterfully crafted. What's amazing about it, in fact, Skooma Joe was helping me out with some research here in some interviews with Kevin J. Anderson and Chris Gossett. They talked about what it was like to try to wrap up all of the Tales of the Jedi storylines, to bring it all to a conclusion in a satisfying, collaborative way. Veach and Anderson had collaborated in the process of pulling the rest of the series together, but there was some friction. It, in a lot of ways, was good, and in some other ways, it was tense. This time around, Anderson wanted to really buckle down on the collaboration, and they spent in person several days together mapping this out. And they said by the time they were, in the brainstorming session, writing the conclusion, those last few panels, they said they were shaking with excitement and emotion. I mean, the creators of this story were physically moved by their emotional reaction to crafting this. And you know what I have to say about that is, like, the Force brought this into being. And I don't know of a ton of Star Wars fans who have checked this out. Our Legends Look Back Discord channel is hyped to it, but you don't see people talking about this a lot on Reddit, for example, or on Twitter.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a low-key goated Legends story, and I'm very excited for us to get into it tonight.
It really pulls your heartstrings. I mean, it in every which way, from anger to, because I feel like most of us are on Ulick's side, right? We're just like, we see the silver and we're like, I hope he destroys her, and it doesn't happen. You're like, oh, this is better.
Yeah, he gets the Jedi messaging all these years later.
Yeah,
but he had to learn it the hard way. What were you going to say?
Hardest way.
I don't know if I remember. It'll come back.
That's fine. Well, we're going to get there eventually. Let's start off here with Tales of the Jedi, Golden Age of the Sith. Here's my big question. Can we get the cover-up of Golden Age of the Sith? We were chatting before the show about how perhaps the cover art on these 3 particular miniseries were not the strongest. But you do get to see Odinur's big old mole face, which is great. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Also, look at that. Only 99 cents.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is such a retro... This is Dark Horse, right?
Yeah.
At this time, yeah. This looks like a Dark Horse cover, especially in the 90s. It's just big bodies, main characters, right? Done in this, like, almost colored pencil style. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, So this brings me to my soapbox. Somebody bring me my soapbox. I have one question and one question only for the entire show tonight. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Is Odin the most lovable Jedi of all time? Look at this beautiful boy. He says, his master comes in and is like, what are you up to, Odin? And he's like, oh, just reading my textbooks. He says, just relishing a moment alone with my thoughts, Mehmet Nadil. And Mehmet Nadil is low-key goated too. I mean, he is fantastic. But Odin is one of the greatest Jedi I have ever encountered, ever. And we got a whole slideshow. Now he's igniting the blade. And we got a few more here, right? What else we got, Rick? This one is it's just him. He is him, as they say.
He is him. That's it, I think.
He's like the Neville Longbottom of Star Wars. Where he's just like
Hey, there it is.
trucking along. Neither here nor there. and then really
Just
comes
wants to
through in the
live
end.
and have a good life and
Yeah.
have fun. That's about it.
Like, I'm here to
He's a
support-
scholar.
Yeah.
You know he's got an MDiv for sure. Okay. That made me choke on my own words there, Skooma. He says, I want to pet Odiner's smooth cranium.
Oh man.
That's fantastic. All right, so what I love about him is he's a scholar first, a Jedi second. So he wants to preserve the history. He wants to learn about the Sith because it's kind of a heads up play. The rest of his colleagues are like, yeah, the Sith are old news. Little does he know he is in one of the oldest Star Wars stories ever. There's so much more ahead of him. He doesn't even know about Darth Vader yet. He don't even know about Vane, right?
Yeah.
But as far as he's concerned, the Jedi or the Sith are extinct, and they're old news. Who cares? And then by the end of the story, you know what he goes off to do? Build a library. And then we do get a story later on the timeline where he's an old Jedi, passing on the stories to the younglings, and I think he's in a holocron in another story as well. Somebody finds his holocron, and it's a very Kevin J. Anderson thing to do, is write your own character from the past way into the future with a holocron or a ghost, or maybe the other way around. He does a lot of that, and I love him for it. So, who else wants to join the Odiner fan club?
Odiner's great. It's
Reluctantly, yes.
Reluctantly,
He's
yes.
good.
Here's my deal. Every time they had one of these like side quest Jedi in the story, I had no clue what was going on anymore, because like it would be the start of an issue. All of a sudden, we're talking about who's this Odin-er. I'm talking about Freedon Nad or who Exar Kun or whatever, and then we keep on jumping back and forth to these random Jedi, and it's just like,
Did you just call
Who is
Odiner a side quest Jedi? Rick, he's fighting words.
I did, man, I did.
I'm punching
Now,
you
I
So you
from
think
above.
can't get it first, and then at the end you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I realize its importance now. But at the beginning,
Exactly.
you're like, who is this bookworm? Like, why are we focusing on
Yeah.
him? There are bigger problems.
Bookworms.
Said the bookworms.
Emily, do you not know that you're on a Star
and
Wars
he
books
looks
podcast?
like a bookworm.
I'm just saying,
So-
like, he's not a hero. He's not like the hero cast, like he's not who you expect to be a lead player, and yet he comes through.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
love Odin-er. Is it my turn yet to talk
okay.
about
Sure.
Odin-er? I don't know if I've
Absolutely.
talked about Odin-er.
Come on, Freddie. Help me out.
Here's why I like Odin-er. Because he is this bookworm who is just like, oh, I just love my books, just sitting in the corner reading my books. I don't know why he's got that accent, but Odin-er now has that accent. And when Odin-er is called to duty, Odin-er goes to duty. And it's like, well, I guess I would love to be reading some books right now, but I'm going to have to fight. Plugs in his lightsaber and takes down a bunch of people. Who knows how many people Odin-er has taken down with that lightsaber? Probably many, right? A lot of Masasi probably
It's a
died.
gnarly lightsaber, too.
Do you think?
Yeah,
Do you
and
think he would have like read while lightsabering?
and after that, it's like, oh, I hope I never have to use this weapon again. I don't think he said that. There was some other. I think it was
Master.
his master. Yeah, but all he wanted to do was like, well, I can't wait to gather some things to research afterwards.
That's right. Okay.
And it's just like, wow, that's like the all-time goat, to be able to just be like, I don't want to go do anything with any of you. I want to read. But they're like, hey man, we need your help. We're in a fight. He's like, all right, takes down a bunch of people, and then just decides to, still lives after being amongst how many assassins. Anyway, Odin-er, goat.
Yeah, absolutely. I love him. However, this story, Rick, you're exactly right, does focus more on the bad guys. And we've got a really interesting dichotomy that is painted here in the story between, and they really spell it out quite on the nose, in fact, the idea that Ludo Kresh is a conservative. Ludo Kresh wants to maintain the status quo. He is happy with the Empire the way it is. He doesn't want to shake things up. I want to know. Let's have a standoff here. I want to know who is Team Ludo Kresh and who is Team Naga Sadow. Naga Sadow is the progressive. who wants to expand. He wants to move beyond where they're at in the moment. His idea is our empire should not be resting on our laurels. We should go and conquer the friggin' galaxy. We are Sith. We need to get off of our butts. We are not Odiners sitting back reading our ancient history books. We need to go and mess stuff up. This dichotomy of the conservative progressive is I can't decide if it's overdone or perfect. I love it so much. All right, who's team Odin and excuse me, we're all team Odin deep down inside. Who's team Ludo Kresh and who's team Naga Sadow? Like I am a conservative in a lot of ways. However, I do kind of think that Naga Sadow is right as a Sith for the fact that like that's kind of their whole thing is, killing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Can you be a conservative Sith? Can you? We're gonna save some lives.
This is on a different kind of spectrum. This is more of like selfless versus selfish.
Yeah.
And I don't want to pop in yet because I feel like Naga Sadow is completely wrong, and he missed like one of the main tenets of the Sith side.
Oh.
But I want to hear some other folks
Interesting.
before I dive into that.
Oh no, we're all interested in what you're saying, so please
Well,
continue.
I'll say Ludo Kresh. Ludo Kresh is the one on the right, if you're looking at the screen here. Ludo Kresh is the one who is chosen as Marco Ragnos' successor. So he is the one who's been groomed to be the next Dark Lord of the Sith, and he's kind of been resting on his laurels. He's just taking for granted the fact that he's going to inherit the title of Dark Lord of the Sith, which, as we discover it with Bane, Palpatine, the Sith as we know them, they have to earn that title. You overthrow your master, and instead he waited for him to die peacefully. He's been a good leader. He really establishes the Sith Empire, and now he's been groomed to take up the mantle of, the leadership. But Ludo Kresh has ambition. Nope. Nope. Naga Sadow has, I always have to check my notes on who's who here. Naga Sadow has ambition. So he is ready to totally overturn the status quo.
Yeah.
It is an interesting dynamic, isn't it? Where are y'all at with this? Whose team? I'm kind of on the fence.
I'll go dive for Naga Sadow. Kresh is all isolationist. He's all thinking, like you said, just maintain the status quo. His goal is to just be the next successful Dark Lord with no plans for expansion. Very isolationist. He just wants to keep his little throne and be happy. Mm-hmm. Whereas Naga Sadow's like, but wait, there's more. And the deception, the way that he's not even loyal to his own people, that his ambition comes first, that's very Sithy. And so he gets my vote.
Something sicky about this. He's like weirdly compassionate towards the Masashi, though. Have you noticed that? It's this weird combination where, like, it came across to me like he was secretly befriending the slaves of the Sith in order to, like, undermine and overthrow the lords of the Sith, which was an interesting tactic.
Where are you at with this, Freddie?
Sure.
Yeah, I think Ludo Kresh had... I'm going to Bane with a lot of my, I guess, resource, right? My scholarly resource for what a Sith should be. And I feel like the Bane, Rule of Two, and everything they stand for, I mean, they look at how much damage they did all the way to Palpatine and then some, right? Continuing that evil, I suppose. If that's what you want to call it. I'm just kidding. That's But Naga said, like, the whole thing about I guess Ludo Kresh and that whole thing is there's not enough deceit and deception on, I guess, the council side. It feels like it's all Naga Sadow who's doing the deception, the lies, doing everything for his gain. No one else's gain. His gain. He is the Dark Lord, and rightfully so. I'm not sure, right? It's not like I saw a proper fight like a duel, but then again, why would there be rules for being a Sith? I feel like that's kind of the opposite of what a Sith should be. The only rules are basically the ones that benefit you. And I think that's where Ludo Kresh failed, because he was more about the cause, where Naga Sadow was, right, and you could say failed till when, right, until we see the fall of the Sith Empire. But
I think I think that Ludo Kresh has to fail in order for Bane to succeed. I mean, I think
Naga Sadow.
Ludo
Okay, I
Kresh.
could see
So
what you
this
mean there.
idea of like building a Sith Empire where we all
Yeah.
work together, we've got a council, and we play it safe, and we play by the rules. That's got to happen in order for Bane to say, you know what worked? Was having an apprentice, a Sith, who worked for it and challenged the status quo and tried to overthrow the one
Yeah.
who was going to take the mantle. And then he kind of does start the rule of two in some ways, Naga Sadow does, because he starts training up Gav Malagan as, an apprentice in secret.
Okay,
So
stupid
here's
question.
where Naga Sadow failed, though, and I think this is the part that, I'm not sure what was happening with the Sith at this time, if they had the rules or if they understood the dark side. But he failed because he wasn't in the shadows. He tried to overtly just go through there and just punch his way through the Republic instead of staying in the shadows, which is like one of the tenets of being a Sith, right? We see it in what is it? Lockdown.
There you go.
Maul lockdown. You can't use your Sith powers. You've got to stay in the shadows and just be a normal Zabrak, right? Just an assassin. And that's where Naga Sadow was not the true Sith, I would say. Otherwise, I feel like if he understood this and set up the battle in a certain way, and no one knows that they exist, they just creep in, creep out, creep in, creep out. Put assets in certain locations, strategic locations, and then attack before you know it, or some other grand feat. And that's where the overt attack that he's not a good Sith. He's basically he doesn't deserve to be the Dark Lord.
Yeah, great, man. We're getting some good stuff here. I love it. I love it. We don't have time to really go into a whole lot more detail on Golden Age of the Sith or Fall of the Sith Empire. I think it's time for us to move on to Tales of the Jedi Redemption. Let's do, however, a quick shout out to all of the MVPs of Golden Age of the Sith. We've talked a lot about Naga Sadow, Ludo Kresh, and Odin Any of the other characters that you think are worth a mention here? How about Uru, the brain tentacle Jedi in a jar? What about Jory and
I was going to say
and
the most unlucky navigators ever.
Yeah, seriously.
Jory and
That was
Gav.
rough.
You think you'd have some skill before you just try to, navigate hyperspace. What could go wrong?
Just lose everything, literally.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, the issue number 1 is almost entirely about Jory and Gav, the hyperspace navigators, and I was like, bro, am I even on the right issue? I thought this was the Sith Civil War stuff.
Same.
And I've read this. I've
I had
read
to go
this like
check.
10 times. And then finally Odin ignites his lightsaber, and I was like, oh, yeah, we have made it. I was very excited on that panel.
Every time you say Odin I hear like hors d'oeuvre, like like the little side dish, like an hors d'oeuvre, and so I'm like Odin what do we have? I'm hungry now. What's going on?
He really rolls off the tongue. Odin
And let's
Odin-er.
not forget about the MVP moment of that brutal Hutt dispatch.
Okay, what is up with like the benevolent Hut? That was precious.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, that's right.
Precious is a good word for him. What's his name? I've already forgotten it.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Gorv or something? What was it?
Yeah. Anyway, he's the one who basically is running his own little junk shop, and he is fixing up the ship for Jory and Gav.
Arba,
and
yeah, that's it.
Arba, which is a Jabba. So they do this a lot in like 90s legend stuff. They'll use a name that is really similar to what's in the films.
Yeah.
So for this guy's got his own little garage, and
Hold on. Sorry.
you're good.
Keep
You're
going.
good.
I was just speaking of names again, back to the Sith Wars, the Jedi that saves the lightsabers. Remember?
Yeah, the Groot.
He encases them in his body,
Yeah, that guy.
and
The tree.
the
tree.
His name was Ood. It's wood without the W.
Also, ood is a type of.
That's all.
I want to say ood is a type of like
I've never noticed
scent
that.
oil that comes from trees that's used,
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
like perfume.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you mean
Yeah.
oud.
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 So just lazy names, but that's Star Wars, and I embrace it. I'm here for
Oud
it. So.
Banar. Yeah, one of the greatest Jedi of all time. Absolutely,
Yep.
without a doubt. You can stamp that and
I love
take
how
it to the bank.
he calls Ossus his friend. Like, yeah, my friend Ossus, the whole planet, because now I'm one with the planet.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
that's cool.
And I think they're also in Dark Empire 2. I don't remember. It's like a similar writing team. There's a lot of overlap.
Oh,
Yeah.
Redemption.
interesting. Okay, yeah. Anyway, Redemption.
Let's move on to Redemption. Is this story more heartwarming or heartbreaking? There's not a lot of warmth in the story. After all, most of it is set on a frozen tundra planet. It's kind of like an Elsa Ice Castle sort of deal, which is cool.
I would watch.
Ulick did it first.
Yeah, seriously, can we have that? What's it called? The animatic, like a story.
Scuba Joe can draw it, right?
Yeah, let's make an animatic of that with the Frozen soundtrack.
Imagine the old grizzled Ulick Keldroma. Show us a visual here of Ulick.
Oh, yeah.
An old visual, grizzled Ulick Keldroma with just performing a musical number. I think it would be a wonderful thing. What about
That
you, Freddie?
samurai sword. Yeah.
Sometimes Freddie has a very interesting communication style. Now that we've been doing the show together for 4 years, sometimes Freddie will just post an image with no context. He'll just drop it. Freddie will be radio silent for 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden drop an image like, "What's up?"
Yeah.
And today
Just like
it was this. It was this.
Yeah, this is it. Just no context. I just upload it to Discord and I
He pieces out.
that's about it. Yeah.
Seriously, I want to read the lyrics of Frozen as like spoken word poetry, and does it not apply
No, it
to
totally does.
to
I
Ulick?
just wanna
What
be
if,
alone.
You know,
What if we got a Ulick Keldroma Tales of the Jedi Redemption adaptation starring Clint Eastwood as an old grizzled Ulick Keldroma?
Dude.
As long as he gets to wear a katana everywhere, I feel like, yeah, I'll watch that.
The wind is howling like this swirling storm inside.
Rick, I'm going to interrupt the singing and ask you a question. Is this story more heartwarming, in your opinion, or heartbreaking?
It's both, man. It is a classic tragedy.
Yeah.
Like, it is a tragedy to a T, textbook tragedy. It's got the plot twist of the minor stupid character who ruins the redeemed life of Ulick at the end. It's got there's multiple layers of redemption. You know, Sylvar gets redeemed and saved kind of from the journey she's on. So I don't know. It's a
And who to save her other than Ulick? That's the craziest
Yeah.
dichotomy
Yeah.
there.
So it's both heartwarming and heartbreaking. But I think heartwarming, is
Ultimate.
It's uplifting at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Freddie, your team heartwarming with Rick?
I'm with Rick on this one, 100%. Yeah.
Emily?
I think heartwarming too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm there as well. However, I forgot that Ulick died in the end this time around. And
Oh, man.
I was like, no. that little, we don't even have an image of him. Oh, yeah, look at that. Look at him doing those lightsaber forms.
The art in this one
Is he
was
dabbing right
beautiful.
there?
It looks like
It's
a
a
little
dab.
dab.
Yeah.
All right, Emily,
Yeah.
review the art. What do you think about the art?
Well, I thought it was really wonderful. I thought I preferred the art in this over all the other ones. I think it seemed more realistic. A lot of the Sith stuff is very ornate, which is kind of awkward to me to see in Star Wars. Like, it doesn't seem like Star Wars to me. This is a little bit better. It seems a little more realistic. And it seems like the characters, like you can see in Vima, she's got like very clean lines, like very fresh, very new. Nomi is as well. And then when you get to the darker, oh my gosh.
For our audio listeners, Rick was showing a slideshow of all of the Tales of the Jedi art, and then he popped up the picture from earlier of the Darth Jar Jar cosplay. So, thank you for that. Emily was on a roll.
Oh, it's hot.
And now
Anyway.
it's right out the window. All right.
I'm sorry.
Reining it in. Emily, you're back on the tracks.
Well, I just thought that the art did a particularly good job of showing depth to characters. Like the newer characters are, they just seem cleaner and like less conflict. And then when you get to the art for Ulick and Silvar, I feel like it's just more convoluted and more like, I don't know. I think it seems more like classic in a way. Like in here, when
No,
I see
you're right.
this picture of Ulick, I think, what is it, Jean Valjean, or like I think of a classic, like what?
He's gonna start
Jean
singing
Valjean.
again.
Yeah.
Look down, look
I just
down.
now I hear that.
Well, you just think like main character in like a serious
No,
book.
you're
you know,
right.
it
You're
seems
absolutely
like
right.
it added
Yeah.
way more depth to this. What I thought was kind of a very shallow story at first, and so like this,
Yeah.
this series really made the whole thing.
And Kevin J. Anderson does have a reputation of kind of writing these one-dimensional characters, and shallow is a common, what I've seen on the internet. I don't necessarily agree. I love Kevin J. Anderson's work, but he's known more for his world building than he is for his depth of character, complexity. And this, he goes on the record in saying that this is his crowning achievement of being like, capital L literature, something that is so much better than your common movie adaptation story. I hadn't noticed that, Emily, about how Vima is in these very clean lines and looks very optimistic. And then
The colors are like brighter. Like it's
Sure,
the
yeah.
whole visual aspect of the character is very fresh and new. And then there's Ulick, who's all muted and lots of gray, and it just kind of reflects what's going on inside.
I hadn't thought about that. That's a great point. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Emily, you hit it right on the head. If you notice in a few scenes when we first see Ulick, his eyes are always dark, black almost. Like you don't see any color, you don't see any white. And then there's a moment when Vima says something about him being of the light side or a Jedi or something like that. I can't remember exactly. And you'll see his eyes, actual eye pupils and everything in that next scene. And it's striking that, you could tell they made the decisions to give that struggled look to those characters. And you hit it. You hit it on the head.
That's great. That's great. Well, we've talked about Ulick. We haven't talked a lot about Nomi. Nomi, who is, quite arguably one of the main characters from the previous series that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Nomi comes back this time around. I don't know if she was explicitly the Chancellor. I called her that in the description. But she's certainly the lead spokesperson of the Jedi and the Republic. And she's too busy to train her own daughter, which leads me to this question. What's worse, Nomi's parenting or her hairline?
I feel like the hairline got better as her story, like redemption. I didn't even notice her hairline.
Oh, I did.
Yeah,
But I was looking for it.
It was in the that's true. The early issues for me that I was like that hairline though. So the parenting is what sticks out to me.
Emily, you're a mom. Review Nomi's parenting.
It's hard to distinguish because we don't have any of the middle story. We only have when Vima's a baby and then now. So it could be that she actually doesn't have time to train her daughter. It could be, why would you try to train your daughter? Like, that seems like a conflict of interest, Like, pass that off, delegate that. You can do that. And then it could also be that Vima is just kind of a little, like, normal teenager and she's pushing back against authority. So it might be that she's like, hey, we're going to resume your training in a month. And Vima's like, you're never going to train me. I'm going to leave. And, like, just goes off.
That's fair.
Like, we don't really have, like, a mediator that says, like,
It's true.
yeah, she has been saying for years that she wants to be trained. Like, there's no, like, third party that can give us an accurate account for, I don't know, what's actually going on. But
I think the only thing we know at this point is that Nomi has been very busy as this chancellor, right? I think that's the only thing we really know. And it's crazy to see her before, and then to see her as almost like the Mon Mothma, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's a good point.
And then just similar to like what we saw in Andor, it's like a sacrifice for her being the Chancellor and bringing the Jedi towards this bright future is ignoring her daughter, where in Andor, Mon Mothma had to almost sell her daughter. So it's like a lot of sacrifice. It's like your family or your job.
It's the working mom. What are you gonna win?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting idea. I like the way you said, Emily, that she never should have tried to train her daughter. Let somebody else handle that. If you're going to be the chancellor, be a great chancellor, and be a great mom. But don't try to be a great chancellor, a great mom, and a great Jedi master who's training a child at the same time. The conflict of interest of it all. And I do think that she needed somebody else to train Vima, and Ulick does a great job with that. So I think that it was necessary for Vima's own training. A great comment here from Skooma Joe in the chat that, I don't know if you guys have mentioned this or not, but Basilis Shannon KOTOR 1 was originally going to be Vima, but they had to drop the character due to Jeep owning the TM for Sunrider.
Oh, trademark that.
Which I did not know, but I do like that there's a little bit of separation. There's a lot of overlap already between Tales of the Jedi and KOTOR. You get to go to the Valley of the Dark Lords on Korriban, for instance, and you get to visit Marco Ragnos' tomb, a lot of good things like that. So wasn't necessary. In a lot of ways, works better to have the tie-in to Satele Shan of the Old Republic video game once we get there. But Nomi has to go on her own character journey, which I appreciate, that it's not just Ulick has a journey, Vima has a journey, but Nomi, or Naomi, if you're Freddy, has a journey as well, character arc, as does Sylvar the cat lady.
Oh, I love her story.
Yeah.
You are. All right, so I, this time around, was like skipping the Sylvar pages. Yep, the wind just blew some of my decorations over. Everything's
Sure that
fine.
wasn't your cat?
It's fine. No, it was the wind. It felt good.
Why is there wind in your room?
The
That
window
was the
is
Sylvar.
open. It's
Or
April.
Sylvar.
I'm not running the air conditioning. I got to save my money for Star Wars books, Rick. All right. Emily, what do you love about Sylvar's storyline?
Well, the art is amazing. And just her whole journey is really moving. Of like, she has come from a place of profound loss. You have very reasonable doubt that like she is going to go to the dark side for sure. Like, she's displaying all the signs. We've seen these signs in Anakin's storyline, probably not at this point. But like, we will see similar signs where like she's just right there. And then at the very end, like, who is going to redeem her except for the one person who like caused the loss in the beginning. So it's just like this beautiful arc, and I don't know, just the depth of her character. And like, they mate for life. So like, she will be alone for the rest of her life. And that's just so like the depth of that loss too. It's like, not like she can just get over it. Like, she's done.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then just the art was just gorgeous. I love her character too, like a lion woman. That's awesome. Can we just talk about how awesome that is?
I think
Thundercats.
Yes.
Oh,
Under Cathars.
I think I have an aversion to the Cathars. I hate Juhani and KOTOR so much that as soon as there's a Cathar on the page, I'm like racist against Cathars. As soon as they come on the page, I'm like, oh, come on, another Cathar. I gotta skip this.
Speciest?
xenophobic.
The crazy cat ladies. It's what they are. They're literal crazy cat ladies.
You know,
Cathetars.
Okay.
Emily
That
hit it on
sounds
the
like
head,
catheter
right?
is what it sounds like.
That's what I was trying to sound like.
Emily's on a roll right now because this is the other one that I feel like 100% accurate. Sylvar, when you get to see, like, she'll never have children. This is during a time when Jedi could get married and have children. I'll never have children. and you know, seeing some of those folks in my real life, it's just like, oh man, I have no idea the kind of pain she's experiencing, but that was it. And then of course when Ulick tells her, like, these are your consequences, you know, you knew what was going to happen. It's like, that was a page where it was hard to really, because you take sides, right? I took Ulick's side for a while, and then you see the Sylvar and you're like, uh-oh, here's our Sith, right? Not quite though. Didn't go that route, and that was a cool part in my opinion. But to see, I don't know how they managed to do this in the comic art, but to see kind of her whole life in that pain when she was going to strike Ulik but didn't. You can see the blade right next to his face, and then she turns it off, and it's like the past is the past. It is what it is. I have to move forward. Kind of look, and it was incredibly heartwarming but heartbreaking because you know that's it. Like, she's alone. She's never gonna have a mate. She's never gonna have kittens. I guess Cathar kittens.
All she has to do is go to the Walmart parking lot to find some of those. I'll say that much.
Man.
I do think you're making some really poignant, emotionally resonant points there between the two of you, and then Rick and I are over here cracking jokes. I think for me, I would have been more invested in it had her mate's story been more in the forefront in
That's
the
true.
first
Yeah, her
few
main story
arcs.
sucked.
He was
the worst.
Yeah, he's lame. She got the short end of the deal way before
that's true.
he turned to this.
Like they weren't
skills.
even like together. They were like occasionally around each other. And then she's
Yeah.
acting like, you took away my one chance. Like, well,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
kind of didn't take that chance when he was alive. So
That's kind of my biggest criticism. I think if I was as invested in him as a character going into this and then picking up with her, that would have meant more. But you can't change the past. Rick, you're going to crack a joke. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I don't know if it's a joke. Maybe it's funny. I don't know. So the whole Jedi and attachment thing. Do we know when the Jedi Order starts taking a stand against attachments?
That's a great question.
Because if not,
I don't know.
I would like to posit that Nomi is the one who's like, that guy Ulik broke my heart, so I'm going to make sure the Jedi never have attachments again.
Or she saw the damage it did to Silvar.
Yeah, so
Maybe.
I will say Nomi did it. She's the
Nomi
one.
said, no more Jedi. See what I'm doing there with the... Nomi said, no more men for me. I'm working on
was it
Yeah.
you? No, me.
Yeah.
Could it be? Then who?
All right, let's wrap it up. I do wonder though, when it's all said and done, where does Ulik's redemption rank among the great redemption stories in Star Wars?
Yes.
And this is to me the heart of Star Wars. What gives Star Wars the lifeblood to make it the most resonant American myth of our generation. Or in a century even, the idea that Vader had gone to hell and back, and it was his son's love that brings him back from the dark side, and he throws away everything in order to save him. And so I think that the fact that Ulik lays down his life for Silvar, the one who wants to kill him, out of vengeance, and he says, you know what, you're right. I deserve to die for that. However, if you'll hear me out, it's not in an attempt to save my skin as much as it is to tell you what I've learned about vengeance and power, is that this is going to consume you if you can't let go. And the fact that he is able to mentor this little girl, which I'm a sucker for, like the old grizzled grumpy man mentoring the chipper little girl, like in X-Men comics. Wolverine and Jubilee have a great dynamic. Wolverine and Shadowcat, Kitty Pryde, they have a great dynamic. It's very much that trope, which I am a sucker for. So, where do you think? What do you think? Where does Ulik's redemption rank among the great redemption stories of Star Wars?
Gosh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely one of the greats.
It's up there for sure.
But it's lesser known.
It's
Right.
probably one of the least known redemption. One of the least best redemptions. How about that?
Yeah.
Least known best redemptions.
It does take quite a bit of reading to be invested in it, though.
Yes.
So it's not as accessible, but it's quality and highly recommended.
I feel like the reason why, I know we're not getting to a lot of these on the list, but the reason I feel like it is very high on my list under Vader and Anakin, because I feel like that's the redemption story right? It's the redemption story. Is because we do get to see Ulick and his fall and what that fall looks like and how terrible it is to see his brother go. And you're just like, dude, what did you do? And then for him to just want to cast everything aside and be alone with his thoughts to just wither away and die unknown to anybody. Yet he gets thrown into something he doesn't want to be in, and he does really well, in my opinion, at doing it. And that's, mentoring, learning as well, right? He was about to get a little angry there for a second, and she calmed his heart. And this is a tough one, though. I mean, we've got some, like, Kylo Ren's redemption story is great, too, in my opinion.
Yep.
Emily, what do you think?
It's so good. Okay, so if I had to rank them, I feel like I like Kylo Ren's redemption story probably the best because we get to see that whole arc with like the films, which is a different medium, and they have like more advanced, more cohesive storytelling throughout the whole thing, whereas Ulick's was kind of a little disjointed. And it could have been a little smoother, I think, if it had a little bit more oversight. Plus, comics are just, you don't have the opportunity to expand on storytelling like you do in film. So I would say, as far as the arc goes, having like a stranger eventually, like with Rey ends up being a stranger, is having a stranger redeem you. And then like having like you killed your father and like then coming back to the light, I think has some power. I think Ulick saying like forgiving the person that like he definitely wronged Silvar. Like he's in the wrong. And then, so I feel like kind of just taken like, I was asking for this. Like that while like it's honorable that he gave up his life, it's also like kind of an eye for an eye. So it's not as poignant, I think, to me. And then Vader, Anakin, I wish that we had seen more of his interior, like more of his thoughts. Because I love Vader, obviously. He would be number one if I knew more. So I think it all comes down to how much of that internal dialogue that I've seen. So I think I'd have to rank this probably number 2. So Kylo Ren is number 1 for me, and then it's Ulick, and then Vader.
Wow. That's really high.
Yeah, it's good. It was good. And I
did
did not like the beginning of this comic series. I was like, this is the longest thing I've ever had to read. But the redemption was as good as you guys said it was.
Yeah.
Well done.
You got to earn it though. You got to earn it
Yeah.
for sure. You got to get through Ludo Kresh or Ludo Fresh and Naga Sadow. You got to get through the Odin and his studies. You got to get through so many story arcs, the Queen Amanda, all the way through to finally earn this. And there's a lot of great other redemption stories in Star Wars. Got some good ones here in the chat. Galen Erso in Rogue One, absolutely.
So good.
Designing the Death Star.
So many Beast Riders like a Bantha.
The Beast Riders. You got Boris Phalia has a good redemption story in New Jedi
Boris.
Order. Kip Duran is redeemed, though that's controversial. Lando Calrissian himself in the original trilogy is redeemed. So there's a lot of good ones to stack this up against. This one, however, is one of the greats for us. That's going to do it for tonight, though. We're going to wrap it up. If you want to join us for our next roundtable, we got a few weeks here before we tackle The Lost Tribe of the Sith Anthology Collected Stories by John Jackson Miller. Very excited to dive into those within the next few weeks. And it does tie in directly to what we've discussed tonight with Naga Sadow's whole crew. I want to thank our patrons, especially for helping make the show happen and all the good stuff we're doing at YOUTINI. A special thank you to Brian Dooley, Earl Q, Carl Sander, and Zach W. on our Jedi High Council. And James T., Ashley Ingalls, Colton Fife, and Chris Carrizo on our Alliance High Command. Thank you for your amazing support. Remember to sub to the channel, leave us a review in your podcast platform of choice. If you're watching on YouTube, go on down there and click that little thumbs button. And that's going to help some other folks help us to help them to find the show, which is always helpful to us and, spreads the positivity around the galaxy. If you'd like your thoughts around the show, you can find our contact information in the description below. We're also on Twitter at Legends Look Back. Remember, everybody, to keep the YOUTINI fan code and be a force for positivity in the fandom. Until next time, may the force be with you.
This is a YOUTINI broadcast.